Well, today we're going to make a fat chunk of change. Look what I did. I got rid of all my cobalt. I was making, what, 1.7, 170 billion units a pop, somewhere around there, 180. All I have now is some chlorine. So I basically made a base designed to make money by selling chlorine. So that's pretty cool. Let's take a look here. Chlorine in demand at plus 2.9. We're going to sell what little bit we have, and $138 million. And that's not even with a full vehicle yet. So that's fantastic. So let's sell it all, and then we'll buy it back. Alright, we're going to take a look at that base and see how we're doing this, as well as take a look at the fabricating machine there, the mixer, and looking at some recipes and how to maximize various elements that you need. Peace. Hey, over there, everybody. Come on over here. It's time for another episode of No Man's Sky. As always, I am Captain Beefy with the Game Vault here. And today, we are going to we're going to talk about this base and how useful salt and oxygen are. So in this base, I'm producing salt and oxygen. And I have the ability to store 23,000 oxygen. Why would I need that much? And 18.5 in salt. All right, so I was fortunate, very lucky. I found, I located the salt first, so I created a little salt base. Well, a little salt mine over here, I should say. And this is what it looks like. It's not overly massive or anything like that. Got a decent amount of storage to it. It's got two sets of pumps here. I like putting them on foundations or something like that, because without the foundations, when you're putting them on flat ground, if it's not completely flat, sometimes it's hard to connect the wiring, and even more so the supply lines that go between them. So it can be kind of a pain in the butt. We got it all powered up here with plenty of solar panels and batteries, of course, to back it up. So I was like, all right, well, let's head over and see if we can find anything else. So I checked for gases. And sure enough, I found oxygen over here. Not really that far away, which was great. You know, it was a little bit of a hike, but not much. Now, I've already got 2 oxygen bases, so I really didn't go overboard with the oxygen production here, but I do have a lot of storage, and I don't need to access this too often, so it's fine. It does its job, you know. And that is, oh, by the way, that's a Class S site, too, so it does overproduce more than most of your other sites. I think the salt was a B. It wasn't a C. Let's see. It's not going to show me now. I'm pretty sure it was a B. Might have been an A. Always got to watch out for this little dip in the ground here. Come on. What is it? Oh, maybe it is a Class C. I thought it was better than that. Yep, alright, it's a Class C. So, anyway. That's why we pretty much doubled the production of the salt over the oxygen. As, you know, because salt and oxygen are 2 of the greatest things, elements you can get in this game. They're very, very important. And we're going to look at why they're so important, okay? So last video we did a video on money making using cobalt. And it kind of showed you how to crash economies and all that using cobalt. I have a ship full of cobalt, and it's just insane. And you know, we were making 170, I think, per 170 million per thing, if I remember correctly, per transaction. So, yeah, that was great. Here we go. So yeah, an S and a C. So fantastic, right? I wonder if there's... I was hoping for electricity nearby, but there was none. So I had to go with a couple different sets of solar panels and batteries, of course. All the storage is up here. And what I like to do when I create a base with a resource like this is to just put one supply depot right here, so I can fast travel here or land, and you know, if I'm flying, land here and collect what I need to collect. I don't have to fly all the way over there and fly all the way over there or whatever. It's just boom, boom, grab it and go. Now, one thing I also did here is I created a little garden, right? Not much, just a little bit for now. I am going to expand it, and we're going to look at why. So the two elements that I was talking about that are very, very important are oxygen. Let's add some to our starship. And salt. And I got a ton of salt, right? I also have all of the plants that I harvested from my ship, my freighter, as well as my underwater base that has like a garden. I got a little extra cobalt here. In fact, while I'm thinking of it, let's bring this bad boy down. So, what makes salt so great? So I think we looked at chlorine yesterday for making money, right? As kind of like a more advanced technique when you get a little further along. So chlorine is very, very valuable. And two salts turn into one chlorine, which is great. That's why I wanted a salt mine, because I wanted the ability to make chlorine. But okay, I guess I gotta use this one. Now two salts make 5 chlorine when I add oxygen. So 2 salt and 2 oxygen make 5 chlorine. So basically, for every 10,000 salt and 20,000 oxygen, I'll make 50,000 chlorine. And what's the value of chlorine? It doesn't show you there. But here we go. We'll go right into here. The value of chlorine is approximately 120 units each. So 1.2 million, right? Which is nice. Not quite as much as cobalt, but being able to produce it so easily is great. And being able to reproduce it and make more of it is even better. So back to the refiner. So, all right, we've got that. What if we put chlorine in there? Now we get a 1:6 ratio on the chlorine. So this is where it really becomes big. We still need 2 oxygen, but you know, if you're able to process a whole bunch of chlorine, and then you still have oxygen left over, well, you can take that chlorine and make more chlorine and just bank, which is just a great thing. Really. And of course, oxygen always turns into carbon on its own, in case you didn't know that. So what else we got here? So cobalt. Cobalt is worth 198 units a pop. Ionized cobalt is worth double that, right? And we know that if you take cobalt and you put it in here at a 2-for-1 ratio, you get ionized cobalt. So it basically retains its value. But if you add oxygen, you get a 2-to-5 ratio. So that's huge. So in our ship that we had full of cobalt, I have been slowly making it into ionized cobalt. As you can see, very slowly. I don't have any in the deep storage, only a couple here. I just started screwing around with it, and I said, you know what? Let me make a video on this so people can see the value of salt and oxygen. Now, we haven't really got into salt too much yet, so let's go ahead and do that. I think I screwed up here. Sure did. We want this to go. Really? Had to go back there, and then we want... It was salt that had to go in there, right? Nope. Chlorine. Oh, that's up here. Oh, yeah. We're getting all unorganized. And I know I keep a lot of crap in my storage here, but like when I built this base, it took a lot of resources to build it, you know, a lot of glass, a lot of all that fun stuff, but I had it all on me. I didn't have to go searching for it, really. The only thing I ran low on, and here's where we're going to start, was ferrite dust. I actually ran out of ferrite dust, if you can believe it. So, how do you get more ferrite dust? Well, oops. You get more ferrite dust by turning ferrite into rusted metal. Now, it does it as a 1-to-1 ratio, which isn't fantastic, but we'll let it run for a little bit. But it's a good start, you know. I thought I had oxygen in here. Oh, it's the other ship. They're... Let me get the yellow. There we go. As you can see, we picked up a buttload of oxygen. Just been farming it for a little while, trying to make sure I got plenty to show off all the different things it can do. Alright, so we've got a little rusted metal built up now, and we'll let that keep going because I definitely need to restock on my ferrite dust. Now, we can buy ferrite dust, it's easy and all that, and these are things that you may not want to do all the time because it's kind of time consuming. I can easily run around and scoop up a whole bunch of ferrite dust or buy it, but when I'm just running around a base doing things, I like to get stuff like that cooking, right? Just makes things easier. So rusted metal gets you twice the amount of ferrite dust that you had, and that's, you know, that's a great thing. So if I have 1,000 ferrite dust, I can parlay that into twice as much just by using a little bit of oxygen. Now, salt is wonderful for other things. Oh, look at that. If you've got a garden of any sort, and I've got two of them, I've got an underwater garden and I've got one on my ship, you know, a lot of these plants, they basically turn into carbon, but when you add salt to them, you get different reactions. A little paraffinium for the star bulb. Gamma root nets you a little uranium. Frost crystal, that gets you dioxide. And frost crystal on its own gets you glass. Pretty cool, right? I'll go to the cactus flesh. Got pyrite. Selenium, phosphorus, fungal mold, ammonia. So there's a lot of different stuff you can do with the basic plants that you can put in a garden. And salt is great for that. Oxygen tends to make things, excuse me, to expand, like the amount of stuff like it does, like we just showed you with some of the other stuff here. So let's go to the gases here. Oxygen and nitrogen. So you can make nitrogen into sulfurine at a 1-to-1 ratio. And this works cyclically through all of them, where you can just, there you go, 1-to-1, radon. I pull the radon. You're back to nitrogen. Pretty cool, right? A lot of different things you can do with oxygen and salt. And a lot of ways to make money regarding that, whether it be the chlorine or the ionized cobalt that we've been messing around with. Now these kind of, these double deposits, they're not impossible to find, obviously, because I found one, but I've been looking for a long time for something like this, so it's not something you're going to find right away. I found the salt deposit, and I really wanted salt, so I said, you know what, I'm going to build a thing here anyway. I've already got oxygen on another planet. I can teleport there, bring it back if I need to, and all that. The oxygen, quite frankly, was just a big bonus, and that made me happy. All right, so there's some basic recipes you have. Basic ways to come up with a lot of the elements that you see here. By creating the ferrite dust, we can create the pure ferrite and the magnetized ferrite. With just plain oxygen, we can make carbon and condensed carbon. Sodium, that's a different story. That exists outside of all this. That exists outside. Chromium metal, we're going to talk about that in a second. These three we get from, flying around and shooting asteroids, so no big deal. And all of these relate to this, and we'll talk about that in a second. But we were able to make dioxide, chlorine, ammonia, pyrite, uranium, phosphorus, paraffinium, all that just by throwing in a little salt with some plant life. So that's pretty badass. So let's talk about our good friend here we go. I'm going to put you back where you go. We'll start with some emerald. I do have an emerald planet that allows me to mine that stuff. And if you have either emerald, copper, or indium, all of those on their own turn into chromatic metal, which is great, right? It's just a great little thing there if you need a chromatic metal. You don't need a lot of emerald, once you get going in the game, and indium and even copper. I mean, you need it for upgrades here and there, but it's not something that you use a ton of. So if you have a stack of it, anything else you have is overkill. Now, chromatic metal, use that for a lot of things. A lot of fixing things, building things, and all that. You use way more chromatic metal than anything else. So the ability to have this, and 2 emerald makes 3 chromatic metal, is fantastic. Let's stop the process. Now, combining chromatic metal with emerald, look what it does. It doubles the output of it. So if you run low on one of these precious metals, all you need to do is throw a stack in, like, I'm a little short on copper, I don't have a full stack there. Not a big deal, but I kind of want to fix that. Take out the emerald and throw in the copper, and I'm good. What else have we got here? So yeah, I think that's pretty much for the basics on all that. Now, here with the residual goop, vicious fluids, living slime, and runaway mold, I keep a stack of all them just for the hell of it. And when this fills up to 9999, I'll throw it in. This becomes vicious fluids become living slime, and runaway mold becomes nanites. And I think it's a 25 to 1, or is it 5 to 1? Let's take a look real quick. So it's kind of like a little backup nanite thing that I have here. Yeah, 5 to 1. So that little bit right there gets me 177. Not great, but you know, it's basically little extra nanites for just taking up a little bit of space in my inventory. Experiment. Look through your different elements and play around with them, and you'll get to see all these ways you can combine these elements and break them down so that maybe you won't have to. Like my goal here is to increase the size of this farm up here. And let me go look at it again real quick with you. Now, most of my farms have everything from the nip buds to the gravitino balls, venom sacs, all that stuff. This one, I don't want all that. I'm going to make instead a farm that focuses on making star bulb, gamma root, frost crystal, cactus flesh, solanum, and fungal mold. And that's what we're going to make here. And it's expressly going to be made so that we can make pyrite and ammonia, uranium, phosphorus, and paraffinium. And that's it. That's all I'm really concerned about. I'm not even going to throw in any mordite or facium production because I really don't need it here. If I need that stuff, I've got it elsewhere. All right, well, thanks for joining me, everyone. As always, I'm Captain Beefy with the Game Vault. If you found this useful at all, or if you have any other favorite recipes, feel free to share them down in the comments below. I would appreciate it, as well as a like on the video. And don't forget to share us on social media. That in itself is more precious than a salt mine and an oxygen mine on a strange alien world. I'll see you next time.